Hey there, bud. Welcome to another episode of Three Toe Customs. I'm your host with the most, Three Toe Joe. If you didn't know, well, now you know. So, what do we got going on today? Today, we're going to be talking about probably the most important thing, in my opinion, that you need to do when you first get your Polaris RZR 1000 XP, 900, 1000S, is you need to go out and get yourself a set of these round rollers to replace these square pucks. Because basically, these are just garbage. What happens is they slide up and down in between your sheave faces here for when it springs back to hold it all steady. And what happens is they wear down into the sides here and trashes your clutch. So basically, I don't find you get long life out of these clutches. I know on my 900S, when I took it apart, I checked and it was already starting to wear quite good. And it was only at about 1,500 kilometers, so which is about 700 or 800 miles. That's not very much to, say that these clutches should be wearing out that fast. And it's just a very poor design, in my opinion. And you're going to save yourself a lot of money and grief down the road. Your clutch is going to last a lot longer with these round rollers than they will with these square pucks. So, basically, I'll be taking you guys through the process of removing the secondary clutch, getting everything out, giving you guys some tips and tricks along the way, and showing you guys how to replace these rollers. So if that's something that interests you, well then, follow along. Alright, so before we get started, I just want to introduce you guys to my favorite tool, my impact driver. That's right. Best damn tool I own. Makes taking apart things on these razors so much easier. Now, don't confuse this with an impact gun. This is an impact driver. See, it's got the little bit that you can attach into it to attach your sockets to. Awesome tool to have, just makes taking apart these things so much faster and easier instead of using wrenches and sockets and stuff like that. Definitely worthwhile having. If you ain't got one of these, go get yourself one because it'll make your life a lot easier. All right, so all these bolts to remove the clutch cover are all 8mm bolts. Makes it pretty easy to get this clamp off here and get this hose off. The only one that you might need is a 10mm for these ones up here, just to kind of get these off, make it a little bit easier for you. But besides that, everything else is 8mm. Comes off real fast and nice. So for a few of these, I find it's easier if you use an extension to get at them. Some of them are just hard to get the impact bed in there, but you can reach them no problem once you have a long extension on there. Angle might not be perfect, but she's pretty good. Alright, so now that you got all your bolts off, you're going to want to get this piece off. Now, see what we have here? Clear sign of dirt getting inside the clutch housing. Yep, even with that frog skin on there, shit's still getting in there. Oh, well, we'll clean that out. Alright, now let's get our secondary clutch off. So, 15mm, pulling out the big gun. Make short work of this. Just like that. There we go. Easy as pie. Alright, so when you're doing some work on your clutches, it's always a good thing to just grab your air nozzle and just spray them down, you know, get all rid of the old belt dust and stuff in there. Maybe take the belt off, go wash that in some soap and dish soap and water, and we'll blow out the primary clutch as well. You know, just it's good to do every once in a while just to get all the belt dust out of there and make sure everything's working right. So let's go ahead, give her a good cleaning. Sure you blow out your primary clutch really well, because that's the one that has the most moving parts inside. You only have low mileage on this thing, and it's already loaded with Alright, so as you guys can see, tiny little roll pin is in there. Like I said, 1/8 inch punch. Tricky part is just getting it started. Once you get started, it comes out real easy. Alright, so now that we're at this point here, what we're going to do is we're going to continue on by taking these square sliders out of here so we can get them replaced. Now, what I find is easy to do is just to use a bigger roll pin just to get them started, because they don't always want to come easy. Go. Square pucks removed. You guys see here, they were already starting to rub down on wearing out that metal. That's what you don't want. So, looks like we kind of got this one here in the nick of time. No real wear signs yet. Starting a little bit in here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but wasn't too bad. Just make sure that you do your screws in intervals, and well, it's better if you have something to hold it down, I guess, but I don't really have anything set up yet, so this is the way I done her. I guess it's a good time to inspect everything else in here as well. There are some rollers that go in here. Make sure you have a quick look at them. They look pretty good. Spring. There's my 2 roll pins. So I think I'm just going to take this over to my vise and we'll pop that in there just to kind of simplify our lives a little bit. I think my vise should be big enough there if I put a rag or something over it to protect it. Alright, let's go get it done. Alright, so what else I did was just put her in my vise, and then I got a couple of bolts started in here. Nice and closed. I'm just going to loosen her up a little bit. Flip her around. Another one in here. Keep the pressure on. And now that we got 3, we can probably safely take this off here. Just got our 4th one in. We'll be ready to put them back together now. Alright, so before we go and we throw our sheaves back together here, we're just going to give them a quick spray of some brake cleaner here. Just kind of clean them up real nice. Should have a green Scotch Brite pad, but I don't got one right now. Yes. Just clean it up best we can. Get any of the oil fingerprints off the sheaves. There we go. Another important thing to note is when you're putting these back together like this is you want to pay attention. There's an X on the bell housing here, and then there's also one here on the top. So you want to get these two lined up, so you know when you're going to put her on that this X is going to line up with this X, and that's the direction she goes. Alright, so what we do next is you got our rollers installed. So what you're going to basically do is you're just going to grab your pins here, slide the rollers in, not too complicated. And then you're going to try to get these pins in all the way and lined up with the holes. So that's one thing you're going to want to pay attention for. Once you got these holes all lined up, you got the rollers installed, what you're going to need to do is get your pins reinstalled. So that's the tricky part. So what I find is easiest for me anyways, is just to get a needle nose pliers and just hold the pin in place so we can get our larger size punch on top. And then we'll just tap it lightly. Hope she finds home. Yep. And then just hammer it out. That, just like butter. Good to go. Yeah, nice. So now we got some nice rollers on here, so hopefully it'll help take up that wear from the square pucks. Let's get these put back on. Yeah. Alright. Let's get this belt on. Let's get this clutch back, bolt back on, cover on, and we're done. So basically what I find the easiest way to do is just leave your secondary unbolted so that it's spread open for you. Make this quite a bit easier. All we do is we go ahead and get everything lined up with. Give her a couple of spins back, just push with her hand just so we can get her bolt started. This probably ain't the most right way to do this, I guess, but it's the way that I found to do it. Seems to work pretty good. So you want to just go ahead and get your bolt started. And then I'll start with the small impact gun, because you don't really want to go to town when you're putting this back on right away, because you could damage something. So just go a little bit, give her a couple spins, get her set. There we go. Nice and set in there. And we'll just go ahead and finish her off with a couple of ooga doogas. I've been doing this a long time. I know when to quit. Make sure you don't give her too much. Oh, you need power. Alright, here we go. That's plenty right there. Like I said, a couple of ooga doogas. And you're good to go. Really should use a torque wrench, but speed purposes, I like to use the impact just because, like I said, I'm used to it. So, sometimes you just gotta get a little rough with it. That's all right. Lined up good. Start getting these guys screwed in by hand. Smart AC. Little bowl on the frame. Hold the screws on. Works real nice. Well, for the most part. So once you got all your bolts set, you're just going to want to make sure everything's lined up nice and pull your impact driver. Too crazy on it. You don't want it. It's almost plastic, right? So what I like to do is I like to kind of do like a crisscross pattern. Best I can. Alright, so there you go. That's that for that. We got our HunterWorks secondary rollers installed into our secondary clutch. Everything's put back together. Now hopefully we can ride with peace of mind that we won't be wearing out the faces of the clutch with the square pucks. It's because, man, what a bad design. What a bad design. Oh my god. But no, definitely, if you live in Canada, you get these round rollers, the HunterWorks rollers, at cuterloos.ca. If you're in the United States, obviously, you can get them at HunterWorks. I feel that they're definitely worth the money to go out and spend on these things to replace those square pucks, because like I said, you're just going to save yourself some money down the road. So with all that said, if this video was helpful and you enjoyed it at all, then you smash that like button, the subscribe button, the notification button. And remember, keep the shiny side up, all four on the floor, and we'll catch you on the flip side, eh, boys?